Learn English through stories. Chapter 5. Divorce. Diana and Charles's second son, Harry, was born on September 15, 1984. By this time, Diana was tired of Charles because he didn't understand her. And she was angry, too, because of his girlfriend, Camilla. "There are 3 people in this marriage," she once said. "And that is no good?" Diana stayed with Charles for 8 more years because of their children. They worked a lot, but they did different things. In 1992, they visited India. One day, Charles went to meet some important people. Diana didn't go with him. She visited a famous Indian temple, the Taj Mahal. The Taj Mahal is a temple to love. Husbands and wives often go there because they are in love. But Diana went there alone, without her husband. Hundreds of photographers took pictures of her, alone in front of the Taj Mahal. All the newspapers and magazines talked about Diana and Charles. "They are unhappy," they said. "He doesn't love her, and she doesn't love him?" Some of the newspaper people liked Charles, and some liked Diana. But every day, the photographers followed them. And the newspapers always asked questions. "Has Diana got a man friend?" they asked. "Does Charles love Camilla?" Charles and Diana were more and more unhappy. After 1992, Diana stopped living with Charles, and 4 years later, in 1996, she divorced him. So then she was a mother with 2 children, but no husband. She lived in a big house in London, Kensington Palace. Diana didn't love Charles, but of course she loved her children. Charles loved them too. Halt of the line, William and Harry lived with Diana, and half of the time they lived with Charles. Diana was unhappy when her mother and father were divorced, and she remembered that now. She played with her children a lot, and talked to them all the time. She tried to be a good mother. It was the most important thing in the world to her. But everything was difficult for them, because of the photographers. The photographers were always there, every day, all the time. Diana could never forget them. Chapter 6. The most beautiful woman in the world. Diana hated many of the photographers, but she liked some of them too. The newspaper people and the photographers were very important for Diana. Sometimes they helped her. Sometimes she was angry with them. But she could not live without them. When she was a young girl, she was not very beautiful. She was tall, and she was sometimes fat, too, because she liked eating. She was an ordinary, nice girl. Of course she wanted to look nice, but she did not think that she was very beautiful. There are millions of more beautiful girls all over the world. But one day, Diana married a prince. And because she married a prince, everybody wanted photographs of her. Her photograph was in newspapers and magazines every day. All over the world, people talked about her clothes and her face and her body. And so, of course, Diana began to think about these things too. She liked clothes, and she was very rich. Many people made exciting clothes for her. Because she had beautiful clothes, she wanted a beautiful body too. Diana always liked swimming and dancing, but now she worked a lot. Every day she went swimming or dancing or running, and soon her body was healthy and beautiful. This helped with her bulimia, too. She stopped feeling ill, she began to feel healthy and happy. And because she was healthy and happy, she was much more beautiful. She had exciting, expensive clothes, and a beautiful body. More and more newspapers and magazines wanted photographs of this beautiful princess. There were pictures of Diana in every country in the world. Everybody wanted to see them. One day a French magazine asked, "Who is the most beautiful woman in the world?" It wasn't a difficult question. The answer was easy. The most beautiful woman in the world was Diana, of course. Diana, Princess of Wales. And more photographers followed her, all the time. Chapter 7. Helping people. Diana was rich and beautiful. She had many rich and famous friends. But she liked ordinary people, too. And ordinary people liked her. When she was young, she always loved children and wanted to help them. So now she worked with many charities to help children in hospital. She worked with one important charity at Great Ormond Street Children's Hospital in London. The Queen and Prince Charles often visit hospitals and help charities. They ask people to give money to the hospitals and charities. People listen to them because Diana was famous and beautiful, too. So a lot of people started to give money to Diana's charities. But when Diana visited children in hospital, she wanted to give them more than money. She wanted to give them love. She sat on their beds and talked to them. She listened to them. Sometimes she hugged them with her arms. She cried to make them happy. And the photographers took pictures of her with the children. In 1989, she visited a hospital for people with AIDS. People with AIDS are often very ill. Many of them die very slowly. At that time, most people didn't understand AIDS. They didn't like people with AIDS, and they were afraid to touch them. When Diana visited the AIDS hospital, she wasn't afraid. She sat on a bed next to a man with AIDS. Then she took his hand. She talked to him for a long time and listened to him too. The people with AIDS loved her. She made them very happy. "It's okay to touch people with AIDS," she said. "You can't get AIDS from that. These people are ill and they need our love. So we must touch them and talk to them and listen to them, too." There were pictures of Diana and the people with AIDS on TV and in all the newspapers. People loved her because of the photographs. And Diana was happy about these photographs, too. Sometimes, it was good to have photographers.